groups. So we're going to talk about how to use groups. It's such a powerful, powerful tool. Those of us who love participant guides, it's harvesting.itc's for all. So we're going to try to get right up on that for the objective, is the groups, group assignments, and submitting group work. Got distracted. I couldn't hear myself in my ears. And then we're going to try to touch on collaborations. There's been some tweaks with collaborations inside of the Canvas, so there's a little bit of bugs that we're trying to work out. But I'm definitely going to show the teacher side and then talk a little bit about what the students can see on their side. My favorite thing here, actually all of these are my favorite, but this one I think is one of the most powerful tools that you're going to use all the time. We're building so much content now in the summer. How are we going to feel about being able to just copy all that content over to the courses we get in the fall? And then what are we going to do when everybody gets excited and you're in the middle of teaching class and your colleague had this amazing activity and you're like, hey, can you send it to me? We'll talk about how basically you can do a email attachment like feature inside of Canvas. And then for those of us who want to dip into portfolios, Canvas has its own built-in e-portfolio. It also has kind of a sharing teacher e-portfolio, and then talk a little bit about sharing portfolios. So with all that, 221 people are in this morning, brave and early, 5 days in a row, proud of you. Let's get started. So I'm going to start first in our Camp Canvas course. So again, if you want to see a little bit of if you like to follow along inside of the module, and then if we go all the way down past each of the days. Also, sorry, small shout out. If you have any questions in the chat, my name is Billy Watts. I didn't say that, but I just assumed. And then our moderator is the lovely Emily Robinson. She is answering any questions you have in the chat, and she'll throw them at me and tell me to stop talking. That part. All right, so back to where I was. We're going to go through all of this amazing embedding content. And then day 2, day 3, day 4, and day 5. So there's pages that are built that are step-by-step directions with some screenshots. There's some stuff in here about joining the Camp Canvas small group, some optional homework. And so this is all we're going to talk about today in that context. So just in that set, I wanted you to see that from that perspective for those of us who want to kind of have open another tab and follow along that way. All right? Oh, yeah. Are we recording?
We are, yes. I recorded.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, so let's get going. So I'm going to hit on dashboard here and go to a course where I have some students already enrolled. Dan Nimero lets me borrow his kids for giggles, and I have convinced my kids to delete the apps from their phone so that I can use them and spam them with notifications. So we have built a class here with our kids in it. And then right up here we have, so let's talk about groups. So groups is when you have a bunch of people already in your course. So here we have the people section. And here I have students and co-teachers in this course, right? It'll tell me whether it's students and it'll tell me whether it's a teacher. It'll also tell me, like, I've go ahead and added myself as a parent twice, apparently. And then I've also added my wife as a parent so I could see that perspective from the parent side. So when you're creating a group, you would think you would click on groups here. And then the next step is you click group set. One of the things that I found when you create a group, and I'll show this after I do this, is that you want to create a group set first and then create your small groups. So the group set is the reason for having a group in the first place. It could be because you have a project that you're collaborating on. It could be because maybe kids are in different tables, like if we were back when we were back in school having as a table 4, table 5, that kind of concept. It can be because you want to differentiate learning styles or differentiate learning needs that students might have. You can create a group set. So I'm going to call this just a project that we're doing. So we're going to call this personal narrative. And then you're going to see this option right here, allow for self-sign-up. So you can allow students to pick what group they want to be in. Here's the one caveat I want you to know about self-sign-up. Really, for self-sign-up to work, and I'll go down here, you have to have people section visible to your students. Like, see how these are not visible to my students because I disabled them. In order to do self-sign-up, you have to have the people section visible to your students. So I'm going to create a group set again. I'm going to call it personal narrative. I'm not going to allow for self-sign-up because I want all the control. I'm going to create groups manually. You could have it split into a number of groups and then it'll do it that way, but I, again, want all the control. And then I'm going to go ahead and save. And now that I've created this group set, right, I have everyone, all the students that are enrolled in my class, and then I have my group set, the reason for my group. I'm now going to go ahead and create my small group. So one of my groups is maybe going to write an essay on their personal narrative. I could limit the number of members, so I could say that group maxes out at 5. They can't have more than 5 people in there, but I'm going to leave it blank for now. Then I can go ahead and make another group, and I could say this one is maybe they're going to do a podcast. And then maybe this one, they're going to go ahead and maybe they're going to do a documentary. And then now I have 3 groups here. Now I can, as the teacher, decide that Emma Nemero said she wanted to do a documentary. Madison Nemero said she wanted to write an essay. Michaela said she wanted to do a podcast. And Annalise said she wanted to do a podcast. So now I have put the students into their groups. Once you've done that, you also have the option here that you can set as a leader. So when you set a student up as a leader, that means that the student who is the leader of the group has the ability to submit an assignment or a discussion on behalf of the group. So that means that if they were, say, working on this podcast, and as together they recorded this and it was saved as a WAV or an MP3 file, when Annalise uploads the MP3 file, that same file is also put into Michaela's assignment, and it's there for me to grade both. I can give different grades, or I can make the grades copy over, and I'll show that in a second. But that's the reason for why you would do a student leader. So let me pause there. Questions, Emily, in the chat about groups?
Nope, you're good.
Yes, this is amazing. It's awkward because no one else is saying anything, so I feel like I'm doing a take, but that's okay. So anyways, you've created groups, and you can create as many group sets as you want here, right? So you can have as many different topics as you want. You create a group set. When you create a group set, it actually builds almost like this mini Canvas course inside of Canvas. So I'm going to visit the group page. This is what the student would see. And from here, as the teacher, I can switch in between my different groups that I've created. And then students have the ability, so we have to trust our students here, and we have to think about our management, and maybe this isn't a very beginning of the year kind of thing. Maybe it's once we get to know our kids. But students have the ability to make their own announcements, so they can send an announcement out to the group. Parents would be able to see that as well. Students have the ability to make their own pages, just like we can make pages inside of our course. Students can only see, now from this perspective, I can see everybody, but students can only see the teachers, and I'll show the student side at the very end, so as not to confuse you with jumping back and forth. Students can make their own discussions and start their own discussions and have their own comments here. Students can upload and download their own files inside of that small group. We don't use conferences, but if, as the teacher, if we did, I set up a conference, I could set up a video conference just for this small group. And this tags into what we're going to talk about next, but students can create their own shared 365, or if you're a Google school, Google Apps for Google Documents, without having to ask all of their students, all of their peers, hey, can you tell me your email? And then running through that whole process, especially in a virtual environment, can you give me your email? Can you give me your email? Can you spell it for me? That kind of concept.
We'll go through one more cycle, I guess.
So that's really powerful right there. And the fact that we can have collaborative. I'm going to unmute myself, sorry. We can have collaborative Office 365 documents without having to worry about, especially at the littles, being able to, can you tell me your email address, and can you remember the at pwcs-edu.org. As a teacher, though, I can go back to my course. So let me go back a little bit here. Keep going. let's go back a little bit. This is awkward. Back here. So again, I've made this course. Let's say I had a page that I wanted to be in there. Now, unfortunately, and this is a Canvas request that we have, but it's just not there yet. There's no way, you know, and I'll show this later, you can't copy this to a group, but you can kind of like hack it around. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this page I made. I'm going to click on the edit. And remember before we've showed about this HTML code, here's the, you could always, right, you could highlight this whole thing and right click and copy. But this HTML code is kind of powerful because when you do it this way, you don't have to do any of the hyperlinks or any of the images because it keeps all that formatting. That's a bunch of jargon to me, but Control A is a magical select all, and Control C is a magical copy. I can then go back to my groups. So I go back to my people, I go back to my page, I go back to my group. And then now as the teacher, I can front load this and say, here is your podcast project. I'm going to go back to the little carrots. I'm going to paste. I'm going to say podcast project. And then now I've built that so that all the students, when they first log in, they're going to see this just for their group. So let me stop there. Is there any other questions?
So far, most of the questions are related to stuff we'll talk about in the future, and a lot about Zoom, which is going to be for most teachers, going to depend on what your school sets as your schedule. Like you might be told as a teacher when you're going to be meeting with student groups and when different instruction time is. So a lot of this is probably going to be site-based.
Yeah.
And you don't need to know the HTML part. That's just a fancier way to do stuff.
You're 100% right. You can just copy and paste. I just know for me, I get frustrated with having to make these words bigger and these words bold and doing all the hyperlinks all over again. So copying that HTML means less work for me. So I like that. So then this builds this whole, here's this Padlet built into this page for them to see.
Can you tell them again what the Control A and what the paste was?
100%. So when you go back to a page, so let me go back to this page here. I'm in this page, I hit edit. When you hit Control A, it selects all. So I'm going to do it from the code side. Control A, that's all of the code, that's all of the formatting, that's all of the links. And then Control C, although you don't see it doing anything, Control C allows it to copy, which then allows me to go back and do Control V, like Victor, and then paste it into anything I want. Just thinking about, like, I was a special ed teacher for 9 years, so thinking about how you had to almost recreate the page over and over again for all of your different learners. That's just a nice little hack to be able to Control A to select it, Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and then tweak just one little thing for a small group of learners. We're good? Okay. One of the things that I think comes up a lot is, do you do groups, right? So I'm going to go back here. Sorry, my brain went faster. My fingers went faster than my brain. Do you do small groups like this, or do you do sections? And I know that's been brought up a few times in the Facebook group. So you have the ability to add sections. And when you add sections, you can actually, like, here's one where I added, like, Dan's kids, and so that's got all of Dan's kids and Dan as a parent and Dan as a teacher all enrolled in there. And then I added one for myself that has my kids, well, one of my kids, the other one doesn't have a Canvas account yet, and it has my daughter in there, and it has me as the teacher, but it also has me as the parent. Here's what adding sections will allow you to do. When you're creating an assignment, so let me go down to an assignment. Let's say it was this one. And I edit assignments. Down at the very bottom, I have the opportunity to submit this, to assign this to everyone, or only assign it to sections. So for a lot of us that are trying to differentiate our instruction for our different learners, sections is a very powerful tool. Now, I don't want to get your hopes up. We have no idea how this is going to impact the hub. So although this is the dream scenario, we are not sure that if you create a section, is that now going to create another hub course? Or is it going to confuse the hub courses? We hope to have all of those things answered out by mid-August, But in a dream scenario, you will be able to create sections for the students that are maybe in differentiated learning groups. And then the students don't necessarily know that they've been assigned that they're in that section, but you as the teacher do. And that's just a powerful way to differentiate assignments to more than just individual kids. You could also, and this was mentioned before about assignments, but you can add assignments as many times as you want and assign it to individual students. And it has that same differentiating effect. The sections would allow you to group multiple kids. Is there any questions, Emily?
Can students see the name of the section they're in? So as a teacher, should we be cautious of how we name things?
I do not believe, well, I always would say yes, cautious of how you name things. I do not believe they can see the section, but towards the end, I'm going to flip over to another browser and show you what my daughter sees from her side. So we'll see if inside of this course, if she can see anywhere that she's in a section called Watts as opposed to a section, or she just see that she's in a class. Okay? We're ready to talk about how you use groups for assignments. Okay, here I go. So when you create an assignment, you have the opportunity. So let's take this one again. You have the opportunity to make it a group assignment. But let me, actually, this was a bad example. Oh, I'll use this as an example, okay? So we talked yesterday about LTIs, which means, right, it's a integration. It's a third-party service that integrates with Canvas so that we can use it for SpeedGrader. One of the LTIs I have for this one is an Office 365 cloud assignment. So I built this Office 365 cloud assignment. What that means is it makes a copy of that Word document for every student and then lets me get a copy of it back, very similar to what Google Classroom does. But here's the one thing I need you to know about those. When you do an external tool, you cannot do that as a group assignment. That has to be done as an individual assignment. So I'll say it again. If you choose an external tool, like an LTI, you cannot assign that to the group. That has to be assigned individually to each individual student for the grading system to work. But let me go back to another assignment. If I go to this one, a personal narrative rough draft, and I click edit here, this one I can choose to make because I said it's an online submission. Also, you can allow a number of attempts or limited amount of retemps, right? Just an FYI there. That's kind of a new feature that I didn't see before in Canvas. But I can select here, this is a group assignment. So when I say this is a group assignment, I can say that each grade is individualized or each grade is the same. Remember again when I said I set my daughter up as the leader of the group so that when my daughter submitted the assignment, if I didn't check this box, whatever grade I gave my daughter, it also copied over to Michaela. So that's up to you whether or not in your assignment you're saying this is a group project, you get a group grade, or it's an individual grade. But I select the group set, remember the reason for creating the group, and then I can assign it like I did. And now this is a group assignment, which means that the students can submit, the group leader can submit on behalf of the whole group. Another way that you can use groups is in your discussions. So I'm going to go down here to discussions. I have the same prompt that I built, personal narrative. I'm going to hit edit. And again, I can make this a group discussion. Again, I select the reason for my group set. And now when I did this, now that means that only the students that are inside of that group will actually have access to this discussion. So it's kind of nice, right? If we have a class of say 25 students or 30 students and we want to have small discussions, and we've all participated in like online classes before where we had to comment on a thread and it just got so long that you almost couldn't see it anymore. You didn't know where you were. By doing a group discussion, you're saying only those 4 or 5 or 6 students that are in that group have the ability to comment about that topic. So that's a very powerful, narrow way to kind of just drive more deeper instruction. I feel like our biggest challenge in virtual instruction will be building that class culture and that relationship. And this is a way that kind of facilitates that. So I'll pause there. Question?
Let me see. Sorry, there's a couple real fast.
Yeah, no, they were popping, popping, popping. So I was like, when they start popping, I'm like, let me stop talking.
Um, when you make a group assignment, it should just fall within whichever module you put it in, correct?
Yeah, so remember, modules is the binder, right? So it's after you've created all of your content, it's the order in which you want them to do it. But if inside of your module you had a group assignment, so let's just say, for example, I had inside of this one a personal narrative rough draft. Because I made it a group assignment, when the students clicks on this part of the module, they are only going to be part of their group. Like if they weren't part of that group and that assignment wasn't for that group, like if I had say a group project, right, where everybody was splitting up into groups, but I had 3 students who weren't part of the group, so they didn't want to do the group project. They were doing an individual project. When they clicked on this, they would see access denied, which means they don't have access to submit this assignment because they're not part of a group. Or I could do, remember we were talking before with assignments, I could go ahead and inside of here and where I assigned it, I could also assign it individually to an individual student. So if, for example, my daughter said she's not going to play nice in the sandbox, I could say that my daughter has a different assignment on a different due date, as opposed to the rest of the group gets an assignment as part of their group assignment. What else we got?
I think that's it. I think a few people have questions about like where they fall as a teacher with different students, but I think a lot of that will be based on how your sys admin sets up classes in the hub. So if
Yeah.
you're an L teacher, you might be added to a ton of classes. You might have your own classes. So some of that's going to be whatever your school decides.
Yeah. And then, like, speaking from a sped teacher perspective, I might be a co-teacher in a classroom. I might also have a self-contained classroom, but then I might also create another course, work with my ITC, or turn one of my sandboxes into another course for as a resource for my students. That all my students might join there, but I might have them in a separate group, or I might have created a small group inside of, say, like an English 9 class where I just had like groups and each kid had their own individual page. Almost like allows me to work individually with the student, address certain IEP goals. It's a very powerful tool, but can get kind of like entangled in the weeds a little bit. Okay, feelings? Ready to jump into collaborations? Awkward silence is great. Collaborations is right over here. One of my favorite things about collaborations is that struggle that we have with our students of the technology part of everybody knowing each other's email addresses, or asking students to come over to your desk and say, tell me your email address so I can share this collaborative document with you. Now, let me pause before I click that. That is totally different than when I create an assignment and I do, go away, and I do external tool, find, and do, say, a Google Docs if I'm a Google school, or an Office 365. That's a different type of collaboration. That means I made a document and I want a copy for every student. That's not what collaborations is. Collaborations is when I literally want students or teachers, or actually even in this case parents, and that makes me feel squishy, but you can have anybody collaborate on a document. So to get started, let me show that one more time because I clicked a little fast. You're in collaborations. You click the plus collaboration button. You choose Google if you want to use Google if you're a Google school, and you choose 365 because we all have that. You then choose what type of collaboration you want to make. So I want to make a OneDrive document. I want this to be about a personal narrative. I can go ahead and add the groups. When I add the groups here, that means both students in the group, I'm touching my screen like you can see it, both students in the group automatically get access to this Word document. I can also individually do it. So for example, I would say, Annalise, you and I are going to collaborate on this, your personal narrative together. So then after, I can add a description, that's completely optional. Tell your story. And then when I'm done, I click save. It spins for a little bit because it's talking to OneDrive. And then here's the document. Here's the other nice, powerful thing, especially thinking for our littles or our students that are just not native to technology. They can click right there, and it automatically takes them to OneDrive inside of the teacher's, their name, their class name. So from a student perspective, this would be the student name, and then this would be the class name. And then they can click edit here, and now they can start editing and telling their story inside of that document. So I grew up in North Carolina. And then it saves automatically. And then as a teacher, I have access to it inside of my personal, inside of my OneDrive, inside of that folder I was talking about that said, let me go back into it again so you can just see. Inside of, there's going to be a folder for every one of your Canvas classes, and it's going to be the title of that Canvas class. Inside of that is going to be any collaborations you've made. Okay, questions?
Yeah, can you jump back to the beginning and show how you clicked through adding a collaboration and how that works as a parent?
From a parent perspective or adding a collaboration with a parent?
Both.
Don't really know. That's two different things. Yeah, I don't know. I'll show both. So, well, actually, I'll show parent at the very end if I get a chance, just so that you don't get confused, because the screens all look the same, but unless you're really paying attention to the icon over here, you don't know whether I'm teacher, Mr. Watts, parent, Mr. Watts, or pretending to be my daughter, Mr. Watts. So you click the plus collaborations here. And even if this is not visible to students, right? Even if you're like, I don't want students creating their own collaborative documents, but you have students that maybe you need to work with in your class and you want to be on their document with them because you want to see in real time what they're doing, and you don't want any of the technology issues of, oh, they didn't share me or add me to that document so I couldn't see it. You can still do this even if it's not visible to the student. So collaborations, I clicked plus collaboration. I'm going to choose Microsoft for this point. I choose Word. I choose Excel. If I'm a business teacher, maybe. I choose PowerPoint. Either one I want. So let's just share summer vacation. That sounds amazing. And then I choose the people I want to add to the collaboration. So maybe in this case, I want it to be between Annalise and Michaela, and I want them to each have a slide about their summer vacation. Maybe I want Dan, because he's my co-teacher, to help me in on this, and I hit save. They all get emails, by the way. Dan texts me usually and says, stop sending my kids collaborative documents. They're asking me if they have to do them. His kids are young. And then when you click on it, and it's the same thing for them, for students, if you had collaborations visible, they would click on collaborations, and they would see this right inside of here. So I could, as the teacher, wanting to help my students, I could go ahead and add in the names so that each person could work. And yes, I saw in the chat, do they work on the same slide at the same time? Yes, they would be working on the same presentation at the same time. I always mess up spelling Michaela's name. Michaela Nemero. I know it's spelled last name. I don't know if that's his first name. So I could go ahead and build those slides so that when they got to that collaboration, they could now work on this individually, and it would already be ready for them. They wouldn't have to create a new one. They wouldn't have to name people. They wouldn't have to add people to their collaborative PowerPoints. It's already built for them. It's all saved inside of Canvas. You do have the option, and I don't know how I would use this if I was in the classroom, but you're going to see that all of the parents that are connected as observers in your class are going to be available for you to have a collaborative document with. I don't know really the use case on that, but if, for example, you had a parent who was constantly emailing you back and forth talking about their child, and you had this almost running log of what was happening today, you could build a collaborative Word document where you updated each day. This is what Annalise did today. Here's what she succeeded at. Here's what she struggled at. Here's how you can help her at home. You could build that collaborative document with that parent, and then the parent would be able to see it as well, because from the parent perspective, they also have collaborations if you've created one with them. So let me stop it there. Questions? Ideas? Thoughts? Dreams?
I think you are good. I think the big thing for people to remember is like you can use a collaboration for anything. So
Yeah.
just think broad and wide, like that answer of how you use it can be very different between first grade and 12th grade.
Right.
So your chance to
One,
get creative.
yeah, well, one of the teams working on the younger math modules for the district was like, how can I do a sorting activity? Because my kids aren't going to know how to like go into PowerPoint and create a PowerPoint and drag it into the boxes. And I was like, we could create a collaboration where we put them into groups and we created a collaborative PowerPoint and we had a page for each kid. And then each kid could drag the shapes into the boxes. We could do the same thing even at the littlest level with if you created it all for them ahead of time, like an ABC book and stuff like that, where they could add their own narrations. Like Emily's saying, there's so many options that you can do. This is very much day 5, so it's kind of like all of the ideas kind of pushed together. So there's collaborations. I'm going to go ahead and talk about teacher portfolios or oh no, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk about sharing content. That's what I'm going to do. So there are multiple ways to share content. So I'm going to get out of this and go to pages. I'm going to view all my pages, all these things. If I have this amazing thing that I built in my sandbox, so for example, I have this project. This is great. I teach this class 3 other times. I can click the 3 dots. Let me show that again. I scroll to, go back. There we go. I scroll down to whatever page I want. I move my mouse cursor over. I find the 3 dots. I click copy to, and then I type in the course I want. So I have another, let's say it's Camp Canvas, so I'm going to say PWCS Camp Canvas Live, and then if there's a module, I can choose to put this already in the module at the top before, and then actually select I want it to come right before course sharing, and then this page gets copied from one class into the other class into the module I want it to by clicking this copy button. Okay. You also have so that's available, right? Copy to, I'll show it again. I'll do another one. So I have this, let's just say this one right here, virtual office hours, where it's like an idea of how to use virtual office hours. I can also click on the page and click the 3 little dots up here. Again, I can click copy to. Anywhere you see the 3 dots, that's the key. I can click copy to. Again, I can type in the class, so I can say PWCS Camp Canvas. I can select a module if I want it to go in a module. If I don't know yet, I can just hit copy, and then it copies that entire page over. That is available on anything with 3 dots. So what are those? Any announcements? So let me go to a course where I have some announcements that I can show that as an example. So any announcements that I made, so if I made this announcement in this page, like I made, I lied. There we go. You have to click on it on announcements. If like I made an office hours post that I made in one page that I wanted to go to my other classes, I could 3 dots, copy to, and then again, select that class. And then now that announcement is now copied over to that class. I can do that as well for discussions. So again, any discussion I made, so I can click on, say, this discussion here, 3 dots, copy to, same concept. Again, any pages I have. And then you can do it on any assignments that you made. So if I have any assignments, I can, excuse me, click on, let's click on one. Let's click on, nope, that's a quiz. Lies. I can click on this one. Again, 3 dots, copy to. And I can do it on any quiz I have. So if I have a quiz, I can say 3 dots, copy to, and select that over. Sorry, something in my throat. So I can copy all that content over inside of from one course to another. Any questions about copy to?
Can you copy to more than one class at a time, or is it
No.
1 by 1? I think it's 1 by 1.
It's 1 by 1. I know that's a pain.
Yeah. And then let's see, one more came, and you can probably talk faster. I can type. Even after we nickname our class sections, they don't show as a nickname. Is there any way? No, you cannot rename your classes yourself. Those are all going to be named by the county.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's really so that the hub course comes into play. We can talk as we get this really rolled out. We can talk more with the district about having more friendly class names for our students to see and see if that's at all possible. But as of now, no, you cannot.
And then can you copy a module?
No, you can't copy a module, but there is a trick. There's always a backdoor. So you can import a module, but you can't copy a module using the same copy to feature. But before I get to the importing a module or any of that importing features, let's say, for example, I was in Camp Canvas. I think that's our one. Yep. And then I was like, so you did this amazing page. Let me find a page. And let me just go down here. Let me go to one of mine. So you're like, oh, can you send me those directions on using collaborations again? So if you're inside of this and a colleague is say, can you send that to me? You can hit the 3 dots and the send to feature. You type in their email. So if I type in Katie's email, lies Katie, you don't pop up. If I type in Emily's email, I need somebody with a name that's, these guys have so many common names. Let's type in Dan's. This is awkward. There we go. Well, there's a lot of Nemero, so that didn't help either. But if I hit send to, now that entire page is copied to them. So I don't know if you see over here inside of my thing next to my profile picture, I have a number. That's the number of things that have been sent to me. So when I click on it, I click on shared content. And then this is all of, for example, Dan Nemero sent this yesterday. This is all of these examples of things that people have sent to me that I can then 3 dots and import into my course. So now I can say, can we put this in our course with our kids? And then I can import this. And now that page or that assignment or that quiz or whatever they sent can be imported. I can get it almost like I received it from an attachment and then loaded it into my course. Good on that? Okay. Talking modules. Let's say, for example, I had this course that I was teaching with, let's just go to this one again. And I was like, I need that module from Camp Canvas. I go to the course I want the module to be in, so I want it to be in this course. I click up here where it says import existing content. I select copy a course. I search for the course name. Now you are only going to see the courses that you have as a teacher. As ITCs, we see kind of everything. And then I could say to select the whole course, or in this case, specific content. I click import, and then I can select the content. So some of us, and I saw in previous Camp Canvas days, we were talking about if I set up all of my settings, do I have to do it again? This is where you can check the course settings. So I want to copy over my course settings. You can copy over your syllabus. And then this is where you can say, can you give me all of those external application integrations that Katie showed? Can you give that to me? And I want a copy of it. And then it copies over all of that module into my current course. And see, it says it's running. I can do this again and again. So I can go back. I can go PWCS Camp Canvas. I could say, I could be like, oh, I forgot something. So I could do it again. Hit select content. Oh yeah, I want that external tool she showed. She did a course Wakelet. I want that. And again, select, and now that's coming over too. So then when I go over to my modules, I'm going to have, once I scroll down here, I don't know if it's finished. It's not finished yet, the one copying over that Katie built on external applications, but it'll show up here inside of this course module. So that's a very, very powerful way to be able to, when you're building in your sandbox, to copy things over from one course to the other course without having to redo it again or mess with that HTML code. Questions?
Is there anything you cannot copy?
As far as like you can't copy or import?
I think so.
Yeah. There's the only thing you can't officially copy is modules. You have to import those over. You can import in files. So I don't know that there is anything actually, because now I was gonna say you can't copy a file, but you can import a file. So you can go to the dashboard, sorry, of your course. You can click import existing content, and then you can, if I hit copy course again, type in Camp Canvas, select content. I can even go ahead and select all of the files that I loaded from one course and load it into the other course as well. So all of these things that are brought in, I can go through and say, that's great. For example, I uploaded fill in the blank screenshot or this GIF yesterday. So I could be like, can you give me that GIF? And then just that file gets copied over. So I really don't know of anything that you can't necessarily import or copy over. The other thing, if you're super, super proud and you're like, this is amazing, the best thing I've ever made, you have the power to hit 3 dots, share to Commons, and then you can share this inside. You can make this just to me, so only you have it, like almost like your personal OneDrive or Google Drive kind of concept, but canvassy. You can say, I want to share it with all of Prince William County. Groups, we are asking, not going to happen anytime soon, but we are asking for this to be individual schools here. So just an FYI, that's what we're asking for. And then you could share it with public, which means the whole world can see it and download it. You can choose to make it like it's a template. You can choose to say it's copyrighted or it's public domain. And then you give it a name, a description, a tag. So what do they search for? And then you got to make up some kind of an image. So again, you can just find something that's there to pick it, or you can be nerdy and grab your own. You pick your grade levels, and then you hit share. And now this is a module that anybody inside, anybody that's in Canvas or anybody that's inside of Prince William County can access. Also, you have the power to go to Canvas and search for anything you want. So if I just search in PWCS, I can see all of these different templates made by different people. You can see different modules, different courses, all of the stuff that you bring in. Here's my one caution on bringing down a course. And we've had this happen before in office hours or on Facebook group. When you import an entire course into your sandbox, everything from that course is there, and there's no way to get rid of it short of actually going through and one by one deleting things. So if you have more than one sandbox, we recommend that you could import this into a separate sandbox to decide if you really like it, or if you're like, no, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, it's everything I've always wanted, then you can go ahead and bring that 2 pages, those 4 discussions, and those 80 files down into your course. That's my only caution on importing an entire course, is that if you decided you changed your mind, you have to go through and manually delete. But like if you wanted how-to tech guides from Katie Fielding, you could download this module and bring it into your course. Same with music, social studies. This is a lot of stuff that's been built by the county that's already available. Here's what the summer school team worked. All of this stuff is all built modules by Prince William County people, lessons, examples, so many things are there for you. So let me stop there before I get into portfolios. Questions?
Let me see. I think I got most.
You're a superstar.
A lot you answered as they were asking.
Yes.
So.
Success. This is what happens when you're late night living. So let's talk over here. Portfolios. We'll wrap up with portfolios. So every single user, ironically even parents, have the option here for an e-portfolio. An e-portfolio is very, very powerful-ish. Powerful-ish, let's say that. In that you can create a portfolio that includes for example, I'll click on this one that I made that has different pages in it. And then inside of those pages, when it loads, you can go ahead and edit that page and use just like you would have used the rich content editor, in which you uploaded an image, you did a link, you added a video, like you could insert media here, you can embed media here. You can't record inside of here, just an FYI. And then you can, mouse is being tricky. Tricky mouse. Sorry, distracted. You can also embed content here. You could do anything from course submission, which I think is very powerful, and then image file upload. I'm going to use this opportunity to switch over to student side. So now I'm over here on student. This is my daughter. I'm going to click on ePortfolio. She's a Colgan student, so she's part of the CFPA dance program. So for example, she would have the power to go in, and I did this for her, where you could create a portfolio, and you could create, it's a 4-year program, so she could create a separate page for each individual year, and then inside of that page, she could give a little bit of bio about herself, she could put a video of herself. Then when she's done with that, she could go ahead and she could embed something that maybe she had on Instagram or from YouTube. Then she could click course submission, and this is where I think the power is. In course submission, it pulls up for the student anything that they've ever submitted or didn't submit from an actual course that they were enrolled. And it keeps going, right? I've added my kid to a lot of things, like even a summer school course for 6th grade. Any assignment or any graded discussion or any quiz is available as a course submission that a student can select and say, boom, that's amazing. That's what I wanted. Select submission. And now that document is added to their portfolio. And then you can also upload any files. So, but students have a 4 gigabyte per student. So this is for all of their e-portfolios file quota. So you wouldn't want any kind of thinking of the business CTE world. You'd crush that. You're done with that. You can upload anything you want, and then that creates that portfolio. When you are all done, you can save the page. To view your portfolio, it's actually this little name right up here, the URL, and all the way until the end of the number, but you can find it by going to, oops, lies. You can find it by going to back to the portfolio up here, go to actual portfolio, and then it gives you that link. Again, see, it's just the number. That little view preview is just there for giggles, but all that is put up on there. You can also allow comments. You could also have students build this portfolio over multiple years. So I gave an example for Annalise in that she could create a portfolio for, say, dance, but then I know also English is talking about doing a portfolio over 4 years, and your senior project is kind of like culminate all of the literature that you've read, the essays that you've written, the projects you've worked on, and who are you as an English student, and then the same thing, they would have this portfolio. So that's a kind of powerful-ish tool. Powerful-ish because it's not pretty. So you're limited in about the aesthetics of it, but very, very powerful in that a student doesn't have to go to all of the different courses over 4 years of, say, being in high school, or 6 years of being in elementary school, thinking of our IB schools, and build this portfolio and remember to download everything. They can pull anything that they've used inside of a Canvas course. The other fancy thing with portfolios, my brain just turned off. That's okay. It'll come back to me. Nope, it's good. Gone. Sorry. I'll stop. Questions about portfolios? Silence. Maybe no one is there. I've just been talking to myself this whole time. That's weird.
I think you're good. A lot of the questions have to do with like what the county's going to do. And a lot of this is the county's going to figure it out as they go.
Right.
So like how we name things in commons, I'm sure there will likely be some best practice recommendations, but we haven't been told what they're going to ask yet.
Yep.
And same with like, if you're a 4th grade teacher, like use your network of 4th grade teachers to collaborate. They likely won't set that up for you, but you can set that up yourself.
So I see in the chat there, can you print out a portfolio? You can download it as a zip file, and I have no idea what this will look like. I don't know if it'll probably come in as an actual something that you could truly download and print. It looks like it is all HTML, so kind of. Yeah, you could, it's tedious, but you could go through and let me see if I can grab that and move that over for you, see what it looks like on this side. You could, it's tedious, but you could file print each one of these. Again, it doesn't have the kind of prettiness of it because you've lost the portfolio perspective. Where did I go on my portfolio? Oh, that's why. I'm in a different one. Sorry, my face is in the name. And there we go. All right, back to student. While I'm here, I just wanted to show you what does it look like from that student side. So we talked at the very beginning about groups. So this is, again, my daughter. Notice she has dashboard, notice she has courses, and notice she now has groups because I put her in a group. So because I put her in a group, from her navigation, she can click podcast, and now she sees that group. If Mr. Watts put a page, she can click on pages, and she could see the page of the project that she has to work on. This is, again, from the student section. She sees the name of the members that are in her group, but doesn't see any of the sensitive information. She can create her own discussion, or see right here, because I assigned that as a group discussion. Now she can click on this and she can respond and reply, and this is just her and Michaela responding to this discussion. She can upload her own files. She cannot start a conference because they don't have that ability. And then from here, she can do a collaboration with Google, if we're a Google school, or using her 365. She can do a collaboration with the students that are already in her group. She doesn't even have to add them to it. She can also do her own announcements in her own home. When she sees her courses, if she sees that there is an assignment, she could look. Yeah, I'm gonna show this. Notice how when before I said you can import course settings, and I imported from Canvas course settings to my course right here. It copied even the picture over. So those settings copied over. And then inside of here, I can see that if I have people visible, she would be able to select and self-select a group. But one of the things I found out yesterday that I was thinking, what if we have teachers who don't really want to keep people visible? So like I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna go to actually our course here, Canvas Live. And right now I have people not visible. So one of the activities that I want you to think about doing as we end up here, as we finish, and we can start to think about putting the attendance in the chat, is you can't see people, so you can't self-select. You can't go into here, and I created a group set. We created a group set level, and we added 4 groups, and we want you to join yourself into one of these groups, but you can't see it and you can't self-select. So here's the option to think about. If you're like, I don't want students to see people, you could copy this and make it a redirect tool and add it into the link here as that navigation. So I'm going to show that again from the student perspective. Sorry to keep going back and forth. But do you see down here, I added that group. Even though my daughter has it right here in groups, I added that podcast group that she's a member of right there. So it took her right to it. I deleted that group, so that one doesn't work. But it would take her right inside of that to see that option right there. So that's an option to think about. For the purposes of this, I'm going to go ahead and go to our settings here and go to navigation. And I'm going to turn on people. Lies. Where is it? People. Enable. And so what we'd like you to do, if you have a chance or if you want to, go ahead and click on people in the Canvas course and then choose a group that you would like to be a member of. And actually, I'm going to show it 2 ways. I'm going to do that redirect tool, and then I'm going to go down here to settings, and I'm going to go to apps, and I'm going to say redirect, just to show that perspective as well. Add app. And I'm going to say choose your level, and I'm going to paste it. I don't have to do force open now because it's a Canvas, so it can stay inside a Canvas. And I'm going to show in course navigation. Then I'm going to hit save. And then now, one day, whenever it loads, if you click right here, it takes you right to this side to be able to select a course. And look, some of you have already added yourselves in. So again, from this perspective, I can visit this home page. I can click inside here and choose to add some of you as leaders. I can remove you. I can move you in and out of groups. So with that, I will stop sharing. And what else we got? 65. I didn't go over. Questions, ideas, thoughts? Nothing.
Visible.
Oh, what to
Oh,
make visible for students?
yeah. Like,
I
what would you? This might also be site specific. I know with site-based
Yeah.
management, some schools are pre-setting what you keep visible on that left navigation.
Yeah, I think it very much can be site specific. I also think it can be very student specific, right? So we in some of our classrooms we can empower our kids and let them have access to everything, and we know that they can be self-motivated learners and they won't get confused. For some of our students, we have to literally only put in that navigation what we want them to see. And sometimes we might be putting something and we put it in a module, but we know that our kids are going to forget and their parents are going to email us and say, wait a second, where was that? We can copy anything. Let me share my screen again one more time. This is one of my favorite little hacks to do with Canvas. Anything you want, anything that is here, let's just go to an assignment for giggles. I can click on, what's one of my assignments that I made? Let's just use this one, Speed Grader. This little URL right here can be made a navigational link. And you have the power as a teacher to choose to say that today, choose your level is available because today I want everybody to click there and choose their level to do their small groups. But I don't want it to be there every day. So it's there for today's lesson and it's disabled for tomorrow's lesson. So you have the ability to have a lot of things here to take, for example, the course Wakelet, you have a lot of things that you're able to have disabled, and then when you need them for that lesson, enable them and make that more visible for your students and for your parents. But like Emily said, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be, we're trying to make somewhat of a uniform thing for our parents. I don't know if you follow the school board, but there's a lot of confusion for parents about how to access things. We're trying to make it a very accessible, easy to navigate spot for our parents and our students. So there will be some site specific kind of everybody has these things visible. What else we got?
That's all in the chat so far.
I love this. Day 5. Everybody's like, this is simple. I get this now. Maybe not, but at least you're kind of thinking I'm at the point now where I could start really building content. When we import course content from one course to another and have assignments with Flipgrid, will the Flipgrid automatically connect? My gut would say no, Elizabeth. My gut would say no. My gut would say you would have to create that grid, that Flipgrid grid, inside of each course. But I haven't tried. Taryn's asking, how do you link textbooks? I think you would use that settings link down here. You would use that apps. You would use redirect tool. And that is really any of those, I think of like pre-Canvas and pre-COVID, those list of tools that you had in your tool belt that you would use in school when you were teaching in person, you can add those external websites as navigational links. And that's really what you're really thinking about, right? Like I want it to be accessible for my students in no matter what device they're using. So I was working with a teacher, for example, that's an art teacher, and she's like, there's this amazing Davis art. So I was like, great, that one didn't connect. We use this one instead. And it didn't connect. Like I'll show that again. Like right inside of here, you can check if it wants to show in course navigation. Sometimes websites don't like Canvas, so they refuse to connect because of the SSL. Or you can choose to put them in here where it forces them to open in a new tab. So my art teacher was like, I want to use this all the time. So I don't want to have to keep linking it over and over again in a module or in a page. I just want to put it right in here. So we made it part of the redirect tool. One of the things that I've done inside of supporting summer school is I've made office hours so that when you click on this office hours, it starts the Zoom meeting. If you're this student, it immediately opens up Zoom and takes you right to my office hours meeting. If I'm not there, you get to see my waiting room description that says Mr. Watts' office hours are from 9 a.m. to 12. And I'll come back to you when I can. But that's a neat little feature here as opposed to like, we're building, We're building our Zoom classes, right? Right inside of here, we're scheduling a meeting and we're building them all in Zoom. And that's for this specific class, but maybe we have coordinated office hours that are, say, maybe on a Monday. And that's the same link. We're using our personal meeting room for that, but students can't see personal meeting room. So we link our personal meeting room to our office hours as a redirect tool. Questions? What else?
I'm a real slow typer today.
It's okay. Is the
There's
attendance
two.
in the chat? Is everybody get the attendance? We want to make sure that you get attendance for that last day.
Um, for a collaboration, can you add it as an assignment, or do you just grade it from OneDrive?
So yeah, so you could. There's always a backdoor. You could, if you were creating an assignment, if I was saying that students created a collaboration, I didn't want them to make a copy of a document, so I didn't do a cloud-based thing. I would do right here on online, I would do website URL. And so we know, like, when you're on a document and you're creating something, let me go over here. And then you have this document right here. I can hit share, and it gives me this little link that I can then pop out. Why did that pop out there? I don't know. File. Let's go with that, share. And then it gives me that, still popping out to there, but that is okay. Still don't know why it's popping out into that little window right there. That's okay. There you go, Canvas. Here's them kids. And here's that little link. If I wanted to, I could have them get that link, copy link, and then turn in that link as what they turned in for that URL. If I didn't want that, that's very cumbersome though, a little bit for especially some of our littles or our students who just aren't familiar with technology. That's a cumbersome task. You could always say that this is what you expect from them, or you could do a file upload so they could download it and re-upload it again. And then you could access those collaborations whenever you wanted inside of your collaborations right here. Okay? Questions? What else we got? We can slide into our Q&A time. So again, I hope everybody has gotten the attendance and the chat so that you can go ahead. Yeah, we'll talk there, Amy. Talking about what you want to do with, so you get attendance in the chat. Harvesting.itcs for all lets you kind of see everything I talked about, but in step by step ideas and thoughts and all the different things that you can do with that. Inside of our Camp Canvas, and this has been said many times, but I'll say it again because I like consistency. This is available for you. Sorry, wrong course. Lies. Awkward. And there we go. Inside of the module, this course is available for you long after this week is over, and then you can go through and access any of this content. For example, you can go all the way down to day 5, and you could say that right here I have an entire thing about community, how to build community with differentiate projects with groups. I have a link to be able to join the group, collaborations, share and import content, and e-portfolios all built in there for you so you can see step by step with tutorials of how that works. And yeah, thanks. It's available until I don't know when we'll ever take it away. I'm speaking for the group there. I probably should have asked, but I'm just speaking for the group. It's there forever. Okay, you have Taryn, you want to go ahead? I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, for CTE, we teach that Microsoft Office suite, and I usually use NetOp in order to go in to help the students with what they're working on and watch them. Is NetOp going to be able to be downloaded on those laptops? Can I use that from home, or am I going to have to Zoom and they have to share screens?
Yeah, so I don't know that NetOp will work reliably over not a closed-in network connection. Like being that, we're not all on the same Wi-Fi network or on the same IP address to be able to access that. Are you familiar though with inside of Zoom, for example, if I don't have my little controls, but if I bring them over, inside of control, you have the remote control feature in which you can actually take over a student's screen. You can ask permission to take over a student's screen, and then you can actually walk them through some of those steps.
Do you guys have a video like on all the things Zoom does? Is that somewhere?
I believe we do, right, Katie? Somewhere? I don't remember.
Yeah, the other day Katie's was make it work with Zoom, so it's on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, so on our YouTube channel, Zoom. Also, the Zoom settings are things that we've So like we've made so many things, and then like we've heard feedback from teachers that have said, what about this? And so it's made us want to go through and tweak and add and improve things. So this isn't all static. As we find new, like Katie was saying yesterday, new things to embed, we'll continue to add to that. As we find new ways to better use these tools, we'll continue to tweak those directions as well. And also, I mean, you guys have access to this as well. You guys were all put inside of a group. I'm going to make a discussion, for example, just so you could see the group discussion. I did inside Camp Canvas Takeaway. Since you now have people have joined that group, I'm going to go ahead and make that now a group discussion and select it by level, which means you guys can have a discussion through video, through audio, or through text that's just related to being a elementary teacher, a high teacher, a middle school teacher, or a K-12 specialist teacher. That'll create that inside of that special groups now that you guys all have inside of here. And I click on groups. And so, like, for example, I go to that group homepage. Now, in your discussions, you guys have that discussion. And it's just the 16 people that are in this high school group right now that are talking as high school teachers. Okay, Jeanette.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, thank you for all of your help. This has been tremendous. I just have a quick question about templates.
Yep.
Are templates available for things like office hours, directions, a syllabus, things that, we might all, put on our pages initially in our courses for our kids so that we can just tweak those and not start from scratch?
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I would assume yes. In comments, people are building templates that we could go through and build here. But your suggestion is a great suggestion. That maybe some of the things that we have. I think we had roughly a little less than 500 people join Camp Canvas this week. We could probably take some of these features and add them as modules for other teachers throughout the district to be able to download and bring in that template. And what you're really talking about is like to have like what Katie has here, like a page that has a graphic built in and buttons that you can click that automatically take you to, say, your office hours or to your Zoom or something like that, correct?
Yeah, exactly, so that we don't have to recreate the wheel.
Yeah, I think once we kind of all like, figure out exactly how we're doing this virtual thing and kind of like brainstorming now that we know that we're not 50-50, that we're virtual for the first 9 weeks, I think a lot of us are going to tweak some of our content and feel empowered to share that into the modules or into the commons to be able to see.
Oh, okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
Of course, happy to help. Who else? Raised hands, raised hands, raised hands, raised hands, raised hands. I thought I saw other things in the chat. Amy, you wanted to talk about read alouds? I don't know if you want to unmute or if you're still around.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just really struggling with some of the special ed stuff because, some of their accommodations, read aloud quizzes and assessments and things like that. And like I said, I used to use quizzes a lot and ReadWorks a lot. But is there anything else like through Canvas? I know we learned about the immersive reader and things like that, but I don't think it works on everything.
It doesn't.
So do you guys have any suggestions for us that have to, do that accommodation and what maybe certain websites we should use or any advice?
So a few things. One, first, what school are you at?
Patriot.
Well, luckily I know that guy.
He's awesome.
So I know just, and I'm going to speak off official PWCS words now.
Okay.
I know that Patriot also has a GoFormative account.
Okay.
And I've personally find that GoFormative is just such a powerful tool, speaking from a special educator background, and that I can go into GoFormative, and let me just click on something that I made here. Do I have anything that's an English one? Just trying to think if that would be an easy example, but I'll use one of these earth science ones. So for example, I can go into this earth science test that was made, and the general education teacher could have built this entire test for me. And then I'm supporting my students as a co-teacher. So now I have access to this and I can go in and I can add audio. And now
Okay.
from this part, I can say, let this record, I could say, what is correct mass? And then now that audio is right there. So that any student has the access to be able to go through and hit that button to play aloud that question. And that is available on every single one of the question types you could do. And
Okay, now
also
that,
available.
so I'm sorry. So that's not my voice, so I'm not recording my voice?
No,
Or
I was
okay,
recording my voice, yeah.
okay. And with the Go Formative, is that one of our, I guess, and I'm so technologically crazy, stupid,
You
but
keep going. You're good.
where you can go and like, I don't even know I can't remember what it's called, where it gives you a list of things that you can embed, you know what I'm saying, or that's already linked.
Yeah, what you're
Okay.
asking is it over here inside of
Yes,
apps? And
yes.
you hit formative, and there
Okay,
it is. So
okay. And go
what's
ahead.
powerful on this is that I could do a Go formative. I could do it as an assignment
Okay.
and it would be when I clicked external tool here, I'd be able to select it. I'd be able to select Go formative as one of my options here.
Okay.
I don't think I have Go formative on this course. And then it would actually let me pick in which one of these tests that I want. And then the student doesn't have to sign in. They're automatically signed into the test, which is
Okay.
just
And
such a powerful, because you know how long that can take.
exactly. And that's, so if I go to the Go Formative and I create, everything I need, so I'm creating the assessments.
Yep.
Okay. And then there's an option to, I guess, save them and all of that kind of
Yep.
stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
Okay.
then one of my favorite things with Go formative is just thinking of our different learners. You could, for that question, say, for this question, I want you just to talk. Like, I know essay writing is hard for you. You
Uh-huh.
struggle with spelling, but I just need to know that you understand the concept. So instead, I'm just going to ask you I'm going to give you a question, and you're
Mhm.
just going to record. So, like, I'll
Okay.
do from the student perspective here.
Okay.
It literally is right there. Just record your response.
That's cool. And will the speed grader help with
And
this?
yeah, so
Okay.
because it is one of those LTIs,
Okay.
and because Patriot I know has Go Formative,
Okay.
you would then be able to use this as speed grader. So you could toggle through all of your students and see every student's Go Formative results. That's just such a powerful tool. The other
Okay.
thing, and I can't remember what the name of it was called, but my daughter's in virtual Virginia in
Mhm.
geometry, and they have an actual like read aloud thing that literally just screen reads whatever is on the page. I
Oh,
mentioned
wow.
that to our communications and accessibility people, and they're
Uh-huh.
looking into seeing of how we can import that into our Canvas at Prince William County, so
That'd be
that
great.
all students just have a button here to hit play and it
Hmm.
reads the screen.
That would be awesome, because I don't think right now when you create like a quiz in Canvas, I don't think
Yeah,
there's an audio version, is it?
there is not. There is
That's what I
not.
thought.
One of my favorite extensions is the Clear Read extension. When you hit
Okay.
the Clear Read extension, it basically turns any website into immersive reader.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So again, like I know that Dan could push that out to every single student's laptop, so that when they signed into Chrome, Clear Read was already always an option, no matter what website they were on. Even if it was like the Prince William County webpage or Zoom, no matter what it was on, they could click here, and it's the Clear Reader option. If it has the ability to read it aloud, it will.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep. Kathleen Nickerson.
Okay, my question is a simple question that I missed. When I want to add an external website,
Okay.
I didn't understand in one of the previous days lessons about going to enrich, the
Rich content editor.
going to, yes. And then can you show me what I do again? I go to the end and copy I'm confused.
Sure. So let me ask this question. Do you want this external website to appear inside of an announcement or a page, or do you want it
A
to
page,
appear here
a
inside of
page.
a page? So if I have a
Yeah,
page here, let me go to
yes.
one of the pages that I have made so I'm not breaking other people's stuff. And I click on, say, groups right here. And then
Mhm,
I'm like, I want to link this to the group guide. I can go over
mhm.
here and I can just type in, I'm going to type in Canvas, groups, guides, whatever that is. There we go. And so this website, I want to link it in. So I've got to copy it. And then on my page, I need to somehow link this in. I could always paste it, but it just looks kind of ugly. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some words. So maybe I'll just add right after this one. Oh, so if I hit edit, make this bigger. And then I'm going to hit, there we go. Okay, good. So maybe I'm going to say underneath this, I'm going to say, put a little space, and I'm going to say for directions, click the Canvas guide. And so I'm putting that in there just in case they're using a screen reader so that it's telling them what to do. And then I'm going to highlight the part I want to link. And then I'm going to go find this little paper clippy guy. And then I'm going to choose external link. And then I'm just going to paste what I copied. And now it's linked.
Oh, okay. I thought I had to go to the end of something and put the HTML. Okay. All right.
So
That's easy.
There's so many different ways to do it, right?
Okay.
And then
All right.
and you can see even down in the HTML, it's going to be in there, but that sometimes makes me scared. So I don't really know what to click inside there.
Okay. Okay. That was easy.
Yeah.
And I have one more question.
Rock it out.
On my home page,
Okay.
I am, working on my home page, and under pages, I have something that says front page, but I want that to be my home page.
Yep.
But
so when you're back here in home.
Yes.
So assuming first, right, you've gone through and you've like you just said, you said that you selected it as your home page, right? So let's just pick this one for giggles. And you've said,
but it's not showing up as my home page. Yes,
right?
That's what I do.
And then you go to home.
Okay.
And then over here you click choose home page.
Okay.
And then you can select, it's probably here at activity stream. And so you would select pages, front page, and then that will be your new home page. That's what students see when they first log in. So like, for example, I made, let me go to one I made for the kids. Like on this one, I made this. So it just has like little buttons that takes you places. That's my home page.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. And all right. Thank you. The only other question,
go ahead.
I had one quick question is, I am not, like, I love all these pretty graphics and all. I mean, just, can I Google those or?
Yeah, so there's two things. Be a little careful with Google just so that you're not stealing someone's work.
Yes.
Unsplash is what's built into Canvas. So for example, Unsplash.
Yes, I remember going to that.
Right. Pixabay. Is that right? I don't know if I spelled that right. Yeah, Pixabay. Sorry. Is what is built inside of Canva. So for example, I have and again Canva. If you search if you wanted to make the pretty graphics that we've been showing all week. Canva apply for education. If you go here as a teacher, they give you premium Canva for free, which is very powerful. What's nice about that is that when you're signed into your Canva, and let's just pick on something that I made, let's just say this one for giggles. When I'm down here on my graphics, and I can click over here on photos, here's all of these pretty photos that I can pick. Pick this photo, make it the whole thing, pick some words, add some words on top of it, and now I can then download this and put this in my page as an image that I want to link to, or just a more attractive image for students to see.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I will play with that.
Yeah. You can get lost, you can get lost down a Canva rabbit hole, but it's a beautiful way to go.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yep. Anybody got questions? Raise their hands, ideas, thoughts. Make sure you filled out the attendance. If you haven't, I would hate for you to go all 4 days and miss that opportunity to get the attendance link for this morning. harvesting.itcs for all if you need to check out the guide for today. And then it's always going to be, all that information is available for you inside of this Camp Canvas right here. So you can access that whenever you want. Okay. I'll stop sharing my screen.